Hey everybody, today we're here to check out 3 power cleaners. Don't call them pressure washers. They made it very clear that these are power cleaners. It's not meant to replace your pressure washer that's 1600 psi. You have the Kobalt, which comes in at the most, which is a 600 psi. You have the Ryobi, which is 320 psi. And you have the Dewalt, that is 550 psi. Alright, all 3 of these have an available 2 amp hour battery. The Kobalt comes with the 2 amp hour battery right here. It's probably it's definitely the biggest battery out of the bunch. A little too big, I think. Here's the Ryobi. It's your normal Ryobi 2 amp hour battery. And here's your Dewalt. First, let's talk about the battery cases. Now, the Kobalt here looks like it has a watertight seal around the bottom. But when you close it, the top wants to catch, so you have to kind of pull it down to get it shut. But it looks like a watertight seal. Next is the Ryobi. The Ryobi has, in my opinion, the best case design. It's got a nice seal around the top. Nice and secure. The Dewalt, in my opinion, is the worst design, but they don't label it as a watertight case. It's just a case to keep the water off. So, as you can see, it just flips down. There's nothing to lock it and hold it in. But you don't have Dewalt batteries falling off the drills either, so it's not that big of a deal. But it is not watertight, it's just water resistant. Both the Kobalt and the Ryobi have a single speed setup. The Dewalt has a 2-speed, it has low and high. Real quick, we'll move on to fit and finish. The Kobalt feels kind of nice in your hand. Once you put the battery in it, it does get really heavy. This is a huge battery, like I mentioned before, and the weight just really makes this thing heavy, especially to use one-handed. It does have a safety on the side. What I like least about the Kobalt is the trigger. The trigger setup, it's got the safety that you have to push in every time before you pull the trigger, and you have to pull the trigger back really hard and hold it the whole time, or else this thing keeps on cutting off on you. Just the slightest let up in pressure and it turns off. The grip does feel nice, and overall build, it's average, I guess. Let's move on to the Ryobi. The Ryobi actually feels nicer and better built in your hand than the Kobalt does. I do like the case on the bottom the best. The trigger actually feels great. And fit and finish, everything kind of snaps together so far pretty well. Now on to the Dewalt. The Dewalt actually feels best in your hand. It does have a little safety here that you just flip down and just pull the trigger. The trigger feels great. Probably the best out of the 3. Fit and finish is really nice. The only thing I don't really like about this one is the case down here for the battery, but you know, that doesn't really matter too much. Alright, all 3 of these pressure washers can actually get water from any water source. You can hook a hose directly up to it. Right into here, it comes with a little fitting. You just pop it on there, screw the water hose into it. But for this test purpose, we're going to use this hose on all 3, this type of hose. So we'll actually have to draw the water up into it, and we're going to see how well that works. Alright, we're going to start off with the Kobalt. Like I said, this hose just hooks right onto the bottom, and it has a little float here, which is a pretty cool design. So the float, depending if you want to throw this in a little stream or a pond or throw it in a bucket, you can, and this isn't going to be, the filter's not going to be dragging all over the ground. Now with the Kobalt design, it actually has your standard water pressure fitting for the end, so you can actually put regular fittings on it, or this one comes with a 5-in-1. You have a 0, which is a straight stream, 15 degree, 25, 40, and just a spray. The Kobalt also comes with this nice soap dispenser that just snaps right on the end there. Alright, now moving on to the Ryobi. The Ryobi has the same style of line with a filter on it, and you just hook it right up to the bottom. I already see a flaw here. The connection here is not very good. I can see this breaking off. You have to push it up real hard. And if you can see this right here, look at how flimsy that is. I don't like that. I don't know if that's going to leak. Moving on to the nozzle, they have a, Ryobi's got a rinse, 15 degree, and what they call a turbo. This does not rotate around very well, and there's not a good click when you get to each setting. I don't like that part. Alright, now moving on to the Dewalt. It's got the same style hose right here with a float just like the Kobalt. It's a good snug fit on there. Now Dewalt goes with a different angle. They just have an attachment right up at the top that you can actually put all your standard pressure washer fittings. It just holds them right there. It also comes with a turbo nozzle. Fits nice on there. Not a lot of movement. I just really like how the Dewalt fits in your hand. It feels the best built out of the bunch, but it is the most expensive. The Dewalt also comes with the soap dispensing bottle. It just goes right on the end here and fits in there real secure. Alright, we're going to run these things through a couple tests. First, we're going to run over to our buddy Evan's house and help pressure wash his truck. He's a haul road trucker in Alaska, so his truck will be nice and dirty for us. Then we'll put it through the final test by hooking these hoses up and actually having it draw water up into the power cleaner and seeing how long the battery will last. Up here in Alaska, they use salt and calcium to harden the dirt road. What this creates is almost a concrete-like mud that stays on the truck, which will be perfect for our test. The Kobalt slightly edges out the Dewalt in pressure. In a real-world test, using these side by side, you can barely notice the difference between the Kobalt and the Dewalt. But you can immediately tell that the Ryobi is seriously lacking in pressure. The Ryobi seems to give slightly better pressure than your standard garden hose. It would still have its use because if you don't have access to a garden hose, but you do have a bucket of water, you would still have a power washer. The only way I would recommend the Ryobi is if you already have a bunch of batteries for it. The Kobalt, on the other hand, is having some trigger issues or overheating issues. It keeps randomly cutting off, but let's move on to the next test. 15 degree tip, and go. I really would not recommend the Ryobi to anybody just because of this. The wand is super flimsy. It looks like it's going to break off. I just wouldn't recommend it. All right, this is what I got it for. Say you're out mudding and your belt breaks. You can't get to any of the bolts because they're all covered with a bunch of mud. Check this out. Now you can just knock off all the mud. You hook the other thing up and toss it right into a water bottle or anything like that. You can clean up the area you're getting ready to work.
What are you doing?
Nothing, I was just washing my helmet. Is put them through hook the hose up so it has to